Hello, my name is Maribel, and the night I thought family meant support and belonging, mine proved me wrong in the cruelest way. They kicked me out for buying a $900 junk house because I refused to fund my sister's luxury retreat. At the dinner table, my father's voice cut through the air. "You spent your savings on yourself." My sister smirked, her glass raised like a queen. "That is so typical of you." And my mother's verdict was final. "You have chosen poverty. Do not expect us to support your delusions." That was the night I realized love in my family came with conditions, and my crime was choosing freedom over servitude. If your family forced you to choose between your independence and their approval, which would you pick? Would you obey, or would you risk everything to stand on your own? Share your city in the comments. I want to know where you are listening from. And if you want to hear more true family drama stories like this, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for being here with me. The tires crunched against the wet gravel as I turned into the long, sloped driveway. The house at the end looked exactly like it had in the photos. Worse maybe. Peeling siding, boarded up windows, a roof that sagged like it had given up years ago. But it was mine. All $900 of it. I shifted into park and sat there for a moment watching the rain streak down my windshield. I did not feel triumphant. I felt exiled, like I had been banished. Still, I got out, yanked open the trunk, pulled out the fold-up chair I kept back there for writing breaks and impromptu thinking sessions. Today, it felt heavier than usual, as if it carried the weight of everything I had just lost. I placed it carefully in the gravel, unfolded it, and sat down. The mud tried to tug at my boots like the earth itself was telling me to turn back, but I was not going anywhere. Not this time. This was not how it was supposed to go. A week ago, I had been sitting at my parents' dinner table, still naive enough to believe we could be a family if I only played by their rules. The roast had been dry, the wine too sweet, the expectations suffocating. Lorraine had gone on and on about Serenya's upcoming retreat in Sedona, like it was some kind of holy pilgrimage. 15,000, she said, as if it were pocket change. It will reset her energy. She needs this after everything she has done for this family. Serenya, who always had a way of pretending her struggles were somehow more noble than mine, smiled graciously and sipped her Pinot like a saint. Then Harlan turned to me. "Maribel, you said you were transferring the funds last week. What is the delay?" I looked up from my plate and answered calm and simple. "I did not transfer the money. I bought something." The clink of cutlery stopped. Serenya froze mid-sip. Lorraine blinked once, slow and calculating. "What do you mean you bought something?" "I bought a house," I said. "It is a fixer-upper, but it is mine." Silence. Then Harlan's voice cool, with just a trace of thunder underneath. "You spent your savings on yourself." Serenya let out a little laugh. "You bought a dump instead of helping me reset. That is actually so on brand for you." "I never agreed to fund your trip," I said, trying to stay composed. "I just did not say no out loud." Lorraine set her wineglass down with a sharp click. "You have clearly chosen poverty. Do not expect us to support your delusions." I tried to speak, but Harlan raised his hand. "You want to be on your own? Then be completely on your own." The next morning, my name was gone from the family group chat. Easter plans cancelled for me. Just like that. Back in the present, I shifted in my seat. The sky above was a uniform grey, but there was no storm. Only that low, heavy pressure that made your chest feel too small. The kind of weather that made everything feel like it was ending. My phone buzzed. One new message from Lorraine. "Do not come to Easter. No love, Mom." No explanation, just eraser. I stared at the screen thumb hovering over the delete button, then thought better of it. I folded the phone back into my coat pocket, like folding away a piece of myself I would not need anymore. I sat back, letting the cold bite through the thin jacket I had not replaced in years. The house loomed ahead, ugly, empty, and mine, a symbol of everything I was not supposed to want: freedom, control, a future not built on someone else's back. Funny thing about families like mine, if you stop serving a purpose, they stop pretending to love you. But I was not broken. Not yet. And I had not come this far to crawl back. The wind kept picking up, tugging at the corners of my coat, as if trying to rip away whatever dignity I had left. I stayed seated for a while longer, trying not to let my body sink into the heavy weight of it all. Eventually, I stood and made my way inside, stepping over a broken screen door and onto creaky floorboards that groaned beneath my feet. Inside, it smelled of mildew and wet wood. Cold air slipped in through gaps I had not noticed in the photos. I grabbed the single curtain I had brought with me, a faded blue floral print I had kept from my college apartment, and climbed up on a rusted step stool to hang it. I tried to wedge the rod into the frame. It slid sideways, then popped out completely and crashed to the floor with a loud clang. Typical, just so typical, I muttered, rubbing my elbow where it had smacked the wall. I sank down onto the cracked linoleum floor and leaned my head back against the peeling paint, blinking up at the bare window. Then without warning it hit me. 16 years old. My birthday. Lorraine had called everyone into the living room holding a cake with bright pink frosting and mismatched candles. Serenia had helped decorate. It was sweet really, except they had spelled my name wrong. Happy birthday, Maribel. No double L. I was Maribel. Always had been. Always corrected teachers. But they had forgotten. Or maybe they never cared enough to even ask. Serenia had gotten a used Volkswagen for her 16th. Harlan had stood in the driveway beaming like she had just graduated medical school. You deserve this, honey, after all your hard work, he said, grinning wide. She had a C average. I got a lopsided cake and a maybe next year when I asked about driving school. That had been the start of it. Though maybe it started even earlier, and I had just been too young to name it. I remembered Christmas photos where I was always off to the side. Birthday cards signed, "Love you girls," with only Serenia's name underlined. I remembered getting left behind on the Florida trip because there was not room in the car. I was 28. At some point you stop thinking it is forgetfulness. You realize it is a choice. I stood up and dusted my jeans off, but my hands were shaking a little. Not from cold, but from memory. They never screamed at me, not once, but they erased me slowly, softly, as if they were gently deleting a file no one really used anymore. You are too intense, always too much, Lorraine used to say when I asked why no one clapped at my award ceremonies. Let things go, stop making it a big deal. But when Serenia got voted best hair in high school, they framed the certificate and hung it proudly next to the front door. I had won a statewide essay competition that same year. Harlan told me firmly, "Do not gloat, Maribel, just be quiet about it." I thought if I worked harder they would see me. So I kept trying, bringing home straight A's, earning scholarships, even helping Lorraine redesign her nonprofit's website when I was in college. They never looked. The radiator in the living room hissed to life unexpectedly, and I jumped. My body was wound so tight I could barely breathe. I moved into the kitchen and sat on the floor back against the fridge. There were no appliances yet, no cabinets, just a box of donated tools and an unopened can of paint. I whispered, maybe they did not forget me. Maybe they chose not to see me. My phone vibrated. For a second I thought it was another text from Lorraine, another deletion. But it was Ivy Linnell. "Hey baby, hey." Her voice crackled gently through the speaker. "I just wanted to check in. I heard... Well, I saw you were not in the family group chat anymore." I laughed softly. "Isn't that something completely digitally exiled?" She hesitated. "I want to tell you something, and I hope you really listen. You were never the problem, not once. You just were not Serenia. That was your only crime." I swallowed, leaning my head against the cold fridge door. "It still hurts, it always does." I know it does," she said gently. "But here is the thing, when they need something they will come back around. They always do. Just do not forget what this felt like. Do not you dare ever forget." Her voice cracked a little on the last sentence. It was not anger. It was exhaustion. I did not know it then, but Ivy Linnell was right. They would come back, and they would need more than forgiveness. The wind had calmed, and dusk was beginning to settle like dust on the broken glass of my kitchen window. I was crouched on a splintered stool trying to fix the latch that had long since rusted shut. My fingers were numb both from the cold and from a gnawing weariness I could not shake. That is when my phone buzzed again in my pocket. One notification voicemail. I did not move at first, I just stared at the screen. Lorraine. No message preview, just the weight of her name. I set the screwdriver down on the sill, wiped my hands on my jeans and stood still for a long moment. Should I listen? There was no part of me that believed it would be an apology, not a real one, but I tapped play anyway. Maribel, sweetheart. Her voice was syrupy, like the kind she used at bake sales and PTA meetings. Soft, melodic, carefully measured to sound maternal, never mind the venom she used when no one else was watching. I have been thinking about you a lot lately. Things got heated, sure, but you have to understand something. Serenya's been under so much stress. Planning this retreat has not been easy. You know how sensitive she is. Sensitive. That word again. As if Serenya were made of spun glass, while I was just drywall meant to be punched, patched, and painted over. I just wish you had considered how hard this year has been on her. And I know you mean well, but sometimes your timing, well, it is just a little bit off. My jaw clenched. I could already feel the rest of it coming like a freight train. She really looked up to you, you know. I think that is why she reacted so strongly. And your father, he did not mean what he said. He was hurt. You have always been the strong one, the bigger person. There it was. Can't you be the bigger person? They never once asked Serenya to be the bigger person. She could scream lie, disappear for weeks, and still come home to birthday cakes and open arms. Me, I was expected to swallow it all, smile through it, translate every wound into grace. The voicemail ended with, "We are all just trying our best, honey. Maybe it is time to let this go. Let this go." I closed my eyes and stood perfectly still, letting the silence ring louder than her voice ever had. Then I replayed one sentence over and over in my mind. You have always been the bigger person. As if that was supposed to be a compliment, a badge of honor. It was not. It was a muzzle, a tool they used to keep me in check. Be the bigger person. So they never had to be accountable. I walked over to the small plastic bin where I had thrown a few things when I moved in. At the bottom was a faded photo frame I had not looked at since packing. It was from my college graduation. Everyone else was smiling. Serenya dead center was holding her camera in front of my face, blocking me almost entirely. I had asked them to retake the picture. They did not. "I will edit you in," Serenya had said with a laugh. They framed that photo. I stared at it now at the tiny sliver of my shoulder, barely peeking out from the edge of the frame. Then I turned it face down on the counter. I did not walk away from them to punish anyone. I did not stop answering their calls out of spite. I left because the silence was killing me. The pretending. The way I had to shapeshift just to stay included. I wanted peace. A place where I did not have to defend my right to exist. If you have ever felt erased by the very people who should have celebrated you, would you have walked away too? Share your thoughts below. And if you relate, drop a simple number 1 in the comments. I wanted a home that did not punish me for choosing it, even if it only cost $900 and had holes in the walls. It was mine. I grabbed a pen and scrawled one sentence on a sticky note, then slapped it onto the back of the photo frame. This is not who I am. The phone buzzed again. A second voicemail from Lorraine. I did not listen this time. I knew the pattern: extend a sugar-coated branch, then twist it around your neck when you take it. Instead, I opened the window as far as the broken latch would allow and let the cool evening air cut through the room. Peace was not what they were after. A week later, they showed up at my door with tears and a pitch. The sun was barely warming the porch planks when the knocking started. At first, I thought it was the wind batting a loose shutter again. But then it came again. 3 sharp raps, deliberate. I glanced out through the tattered curtain. My heart did not drop. It sank. There she was, Serenya. One stiletto heel tapped the concrete with performative irritation. Her coat was cream-colored cashmere belted at the waist. and her oversized sunglasses reflected the entire street like a mirror daring anyone to look back. Even standing still, she looked like she was mid-photo. She did not wait for me to open the door. Instead, she turned to the side, letting her voice carry loudly toward the neighbor walking her dog. Mom says she has really let herself go, but you know, some people just need their little rebellions, their little phases. I stood frozen in the hallway. That coat alone cost more than my roof repairs. That was her entrance luxury against my peeling paint-snide remarks where there used to be silence. Her favorite sport, public performance under the flimsy guise of concern. I opened the door just as she turned back toward it. "Well, there she is, the homeowner," she said, stretching out the word like it was some tired joke. "Honestly, this neighborhood has really gone downhill. Do you actually get raccoons here?" I leaned against the frame, arms crossed. "Is that why you are here, to survey the wildlife and pass judgment?" She smirked. "No need to be so defensive, Ro. I'm just trying to check in on you. You dropped completely off the grid." "You mean after you told Mom I had gone full swamp witch?" "Yeah, I figured a little distance would honestly do me good." Her eyes darted to the peeling shutters, the chipped railings. She clicked her tongue. "This place, it has character, I will give you that. And mold. And a smell." Behind her, another neighbor passed by. She waved sugar sweet. "Do not mind us, just catching up. Family bonding, you know how it is." Then she leaned in slightly and lowered her voice. "Listen, the HOA has been sniffing around. Someone mentioned this place might not be up to code." I raised an eyebrow. "You reported me to the HOA yourself." She did not answer directly. "I am just saying, this area has standards. People talk and they talk a lot." I did not flinch. I would not give her that satisfaction. She switched gears fast like she always did. One moment weaponized condescension, the next sugar-drenched desperation. "I am in a bit of a bind," she said, sighing dramatically. A pipe burst at the spa wing. Total mess, total nightmare. I had to cancel 3 sound bath sessions. I waited. Serenia touched the edge of the porch with one polished fingertip, like it might bite her. So I thought maybe just for a night or two while they fix things. I can sleep anywhere. Even here. Even here like it is some rustic campground. She was stalling. Probably had nowhere else to go without explaining why the retreat was not going as planned. Whatever had cracked in her picture-perfect world, she was not ready for anyone else to see it, especially not her followers. "Serenia, you told Mom I was unstable." "I never said that, not those words. You said I was mentally spiraling in a hoarder shack." She had the decency to look away, but only for a second. "I was just worried," she said softly. "And look, you proved us wrong. You are surviving. I mean, you are still doing that blog thing, right? What do you call it? Grant whispering." I did not bother correcting her. I just stepped aside. "One night," I said. "Do not touch anything." Her face lit up like she had just been invited to a castle. "You are the best, honestly the absolute best. Seriously, you always were. It is exactly why people walk all over you without even thinking." She swept in past me like she owned the place. That was her way. Act like it was always hers to begin with. Like she was the host and I was the guest. I stood by the door for a long time after she passed, staring at the path she had taken, heels clicking on the rotting floorboards. She needed help, but not the kind she thought she did. I woke up to the smell of instant coffee, and something far worse laughter. Not the warm kind. No, the kind that felt like a slap straight across the face. Still groggy, I pulled a sweater over my tank top and padded toward the kitchen. The floor creaked under my feet like it wanted to warn me, and maybe it should have. As I rounded the corner, I stopped cold. A ring light was set up by the window, its harsh white glow casting artificial glamour over a chipped counter. My stained kettle had been pushed aside, replaced by a neatly arranged setup of oat milk cartons, granola bars, and a candle that had not belonged to me. And in the middle of it all was Serenia, full face of makeup, smiling into her phone like she was hosting a cheerful morning show. My morning. my kitchen. "Say hi to my angels," she cooed into the screen. "We are here doing something really meaningful today. I wanted to show you guys where my sister, bless her heart, has been living. It is a bit of a fixer, but we absolutely love a transformation, do we not?" She panned the camera toward the cracked tiles, the mismatched chairs, the yellowing linoleum. I stood frozen by the doorframe, watching her turn my lived-in survival into her pity parade. "This fridge has not worked since like Y2K, she joked, giving it a playful kick. "And do not even get me started on the smell. Honestly, it is giving full-on generational trauma vibes." The comment section buzzed on her phone. I could hear the stream of notification chimes from my spot. "Oh my God, someone just asked if this was a shelter." Serenia laughed. "No, sweetie, it is my sister's house. I know, it is tragic." I stepped further in, saying nothing. She did not notice me at first. Another comment popped up. "Is that really your sister? She looks like a squatter." Serenia did not even blink. She tilted the camera toward me. "Yep," she said smoothly. "That is her. Look at those slippers. It is giving Great Depression chic for real." Something inside me snapped. I walked over calm as stone and yanked the phone off the tripod. The suction sound of the pop socket detaching echoed louder than her gasp. "Hey, what are you doing? Seriously, give it back," she shrieked. I looked straight into her perfectly contoured face. "You want content? Then here it is. Get out before I give them the story they actually deserve to hear." She fumbled to grab the phone back. I did not let her. "You do not get to weaponize my life for likes, Serenia, not anymore." Her expression changed instantly. The victim mask slid on effortlessly, eyes wide, mouth open, breath trembling. It was Oscar-worthy. "I was just trying to help, truly help," she said, voice breaking. "I thought people could donate or something. It was for you, not for me." "You mocked me in my own home. You made me a complete joke." I handed her the phone like it was a dead thing. "You can go now." Serenia sniffed theatrically, gathering her makeup bag and purse with a sweeping flourish. As she passed by, she made sure to say it loud enough for her unseen audience to hear. "This is exactly what I get for trying so hard to be a good sister." The door slammed shut behind her. The ring light still hummed faintly in the silence. I leaned back against the wall, hands shaking, but not from fear. Shaking from fury, from freedom. Something had clicked deep inside me. They did not get to script my life anymore. By late evening, the chaos had settled into a strange humming silence. I sat curled on the second-hand couch, a chipped mug of black coffee warming my fingers. Outside, dusk had pulled a heavy blanket over the mountains. Inside, my phone screen pulsed like a heartbeat. Notifications exploding, each one carrying my name like a grenade. I had not posted anything. I had not said a single word, but they were talking about me, tagging me, commenting, sharing. I finally opened Instagram, expecting another clip from Serenia's endless healing journey montage. Instead, I found something far worse. The first screenshot stopped me cold. It was a GoFundMe campaign titled, "Help My Sister Rebuild." My face was plastered across the banner. I was mid-step carrying a garbage bag, hair tied back, sweat on my brow. Another photo showed me curled up on the couch, wrapped in the same quilt Ivy Lionel had given me after the fallout. And next to it, a caption that read, like a eulogy, "My baby sis has been through so much. Help me give her a life she deserves." Raised $18,040. Recipient Serenia Vale. Withdrawal account, Serenia's business PayPal. I did not even finish scrolling before the blood rushed to my ears. She had turned me into a charity case and monetized it. I stood up, pacing the small room like a caged animal. My hand trembled around the phone. I clicked into the comments section. People were showering her with praise. "You are such a good sister, really the best kind. The world truly needs more people like you. I sent $50. I hope she gets back on her feet soon." I slammed the mug down on the table. It cracked, a jagged line slicing through the ceramic. Serenia had not mentioned it, not once. Not when she left that morning, dramatically wiping a fake tear from her cheek. Not when she posted that story of herself driving away from toxicity, while soft piano music played in the background. I opened our last text exchange. Nothing. I tried to report the fundraiser, but the platform said, "This campaign does not violate our community guidelines." Of course it did not. She knew how to play the system. Frame it just right, say, just enough, always letting people assume the rest. A new story popped up on her feed. Some people just want to stay mad. I am doing what I can. Haters are going to hate. I stared at those words until they blurred. Then I looked back at the photos, the one with me kneeling on the porch in those old slippers. Great Depression chic. She had laughed. The door creaked slightly with the breeze. The room was quiet. Too quiet. I felt like a ghost haunting my own house, watching the shadows shift across the peeling walls. Then a notification slid across the top of the screen. Message request. From Legal LC Plorco. Hey, I saw the GoFundMe. You did not authorize that, did you? I blinked. Another line followed. I am a paralegal. Colorado Bar certified. This looks like civil exploitation, possibly even wire fraud depending on how the funds were framed. Want to talk receipts? I sat down slowly, staring at the message. My heart did not race. It did not skip. It just steadied itself like it had been waiting for this. Someone out there saw it too. Not just the humiliation, but the strategy behind it. I typed one word, yes. She replied instantly. Cool. Start with screen recordings. Get everything. Capture timestamps. Do not confront her publicly yet. Trust me, seriously, trust me on this. For the first time in weeks, I felt the tiniest flicker of power. It was not much, but it was mine. I took a long breath, switched my phone to Do Not Disturb, and began to document clip by clip, screenshot by screenshot. Not just to protect myself, but to dismantle the game she had built using me as the bait. The day before Serenya's event, the house was strangely still. I cracked the windows open, letting the crisp mountain air sweep through as I sat at the small kitchen table. Laptop open, phone buzzing softly beside me. The nerves should have hit me already. 2 days ago I would have been pacing holes into the floor, but now there was only a focused calm, a tightening in my chest that felt like resolve. Taryn's face popped up on Zoom, framed neatly by stacks of legal pads and a half-empty coffee cup. We both signed off on the final version of the cease and desist letter. Her voice was steady and professional, even when mine wavered slightly. Breathe, Maribel. The paperwork does the talking now, she said, with a small, reassuring smile. That steadied me more than she knew. I leaned back, watching the seconds tick down to Serenya's live promo event. Her first big public move since the GoFundMe explosion. She had teased it for days, a special Q&A for her followers. A raw, unfiltered session to set the record straight. I almost laughed out loud. Nothing about Serenya had ever been unfiltered. 10 minutes before her event went live, Taryn's courier confirmed. The envelope was in position, ready to be delivered right in the middle of her broadcast. Like a storm cloud that had been gathering too long, it was finally time to break open. The screen on my phone flickered to life. And there she was, basking under soft golden lighting, dressed in muted earth tones like she was filming a life coaching retreat, rather than desperately trying to salvage a crumbling reputation. She smiled wide at her audience. Hi, beautiful souls. Thank you for showing up today, my beautiful souls. I know there has been a lot of noise, but we are about positivity here, always about positivity. My stomach twisted as I listened to Serenya spin the story. How she was just helping a family member rebuild. How sometimes negativity comes from pain we cannot even understand. I almost admired the audacity. Almost. Then it happened. Midway through a question about family values, someone stepped onto the stage from the side. A nervous-looking assistant clutching a thick manila envelope. Serenya's practiced smile froze in place. She took the envelope, blinking rapidly, her voice faltering. Live chat exploded. What is that? She looks completely panicked. Oh my God, why did she stop talking? Her fingers trembled slightly as she skimmed the letter inside. Her eyes darted to the camera, then away just as quickly. The cheerful background music looped awkwardly as she muttered something off-mic to the assistant, her voice breaking. Then abruptly the live stream cut out. No sign-off, no closing affirmations, just static. I sat back, letting the moment wash over me. It was not the loud, messy revenge part of me once craved. No screaming matches, no viral videos of door-slamming fights. It was sharper, cleaner, almost poetic. Within minutes, Reddit threads bloomed. Cease and desist served live. Someone just got legally bodied on camera. Screenshots, or it did not happen. People were posting clips of her frozen face, analyzing every twitch, every stammer. Others started digging deeper, linking the GoFundMe to the same PayPal account tied to her so-called wellness business. The one she had always claimed was for community good. While the internet swirled, another notification slid across my screen. Message from Douglas Ray, president of Skyline Estates HOA. I opened it, pulse quickening. Hi Maribel. We were unaware Serenia Vale was using the Skyline Estates community name to solicit funds. This misrepresentation violates our code of ethics and emergency aid policies. We are initiating a formal review and would like your cooperation. Attached are copies of her applications citing you as a displaced homeowner needing crisis housing. Please confirm or dispute. Attached were PDF forms full of fabricated half-truths about my living situation. Serenia had used my address, my struggles, twisting them to strengthen her branding pitch for grants and partnerships. I scrolled through them slowly, absorbing every line. It was not just family betrayal anymore. It was fraud. For the first time, my chest did not tighten with helpless rage. Instead, a deep, anchoring calm settled in. They had painted me as the broken sister clinging to survival, a pitiful prop in their stage play. But they had forgotten something. I am not built for pity. I am built for endurance. I closed the laptop carefully, savoring the quiet finality of it. I was not the one who had to explain herself now. She was. And she would not be able to filter her way out of this one. The drive to Los Angeles felt longer than it should have. I was not nervous. Not exactly. It was something colder, steadier, like the kind of quiet you feel right before a storm splits the entire sky. I pulled into the valet line outside the Marriott Grand Ballroom, stepping out in a simple navy dress and the old silver locket my mother once sneered at, calling it flea market trash. Tonight it felt like armor, heavy but protective. As I handed my keys over, I caught sight of the banners strung along the entrance. Serenia Cares Healing Families, one heart at a time. The irony was not lost on me. I squared my shoulders and walked in. The ballroom buzzed with hundreds of attendees, influencers, journalists, minor celebrities, all decked out, all angling for the best Instagram shots. Serenia was already center stage, lit like a golden idol under the soft white spotlight. Her laugh echoed through the space as she greeted sponsors and fans alike with practiced ease. I was not there to make a scene. I was there to watch. I found a seat near the back, unnoticed among the crowd. I blended in on purpose, watching as Serenia swept from group to group, dazzling everyone with her curated charm. She wore a gown that shimmered under the lights, and a smile even shinier. If you did not know better, you might think she was untouchable. But masks always crack under pressure. After the opening remarks, a slideshow was queued up, supposedly to showcase all the community work Serenia had funded through the GoFundMe campaign. The first few slides rolled by smiling children, thank you letters, stock images of rehab centers and soup kitchens. The audience clapped politely, then a flicker, a frozen frame. A screenshot popped up on the massive screen behind Serenia's podium. Plain as day, a text message. Let her rot in that dump. I gave them the GoFundMe link for PR. Cry for me, baby. Another one followed. She's good for sympathy points. Keep the cameras low. Show the cracks. The room fell silent. Phones shot up into the air. A low murmur grew 1,000 tiny gasps, rolling through the crowd like a gathering tide. Hashtags popped up almost instantly on screens. Let her rot leaks. Serenia exposed fake charity. Serenia turned, saw the screen, and for the very first time in my life, I saw her mask slip. Not just crack, but slip right off entirely. She stuttered, trying to explain, trying to laugh it off. "Tech glitch, sorry guys, just a glitch," she muttered desperately. But nobody was buying it. 1,000 judgmental eyes pinned her to the stage. I stayed seated, watching, calm as a winter lake. Then Odessa Fenn rose from her table. She had been scheduled to give a speech praising Serenya's resilience and family values. Instead, she took the stage with slow, deliberate steps. She did not even glance at Serenya. She looked straight into the crowd. "I was asked to speak tonight about hope." She began, her voice carrying strong across the hushed ballroom. "About rebuilding trust. About family." She paused, the weight of her words pressing down on every heart in the room. And for too long, Odessa continued, her voice tightening. "This family has worn a mask. Smiled in public, shamed in private, propped up one golden child, while another was left to scrape by in silence. People shifted uncomfortably. Some put down their drinks. Others leaned in closer. "I will not pretend anymore," Odessa said firmly. "Tonight I stand not with what looks pretty on a flyer, but with what is truly right." And with that she stepped down from the stage, walked across the vast room, and without a second's hesitation, wrapped me in a firm, proud embrace. Cameras clicked, flashes popped, the silence broke, and it was not for Serenya. I heard Serenya's heels click furiously across the marble floor as she fled the ballroom, the train of her gown snagging loudly on a chair. I did not chase her. I did not even watch her leave. I just closed my eyes for a second, feeling Odessa's arms around me. The first real embrace I had felt from any family member in longer than I cared to remember. The room rippled with shifting alliances. Some people clapped, some stood awkwardly, and some simply stared in stunned disbelief. I did not gloat. I did not smirk. I breathed. The silence I had lived inside for so many years had finally spoken back for me, and it was louder than Serenya's curated world had ever been. Morning sunlight spilled through the patched windows of my little house, painting soft rectangles across the floor. The air smelled faintly of fresh paint and cut grass, a far cry from the mold and mildew that had once clung to every corner. I pulled a sweater over my pajamas and wandered into the kitchen, the wood floors cool beneath my bare feet. Coffee brewed quietly on the counter. Outside, I could hear the gentle laughter of neighborhood kids chalking up the walkway, their tiny voices filling the air with a kind of hope I had not realized I had missed so deeply. I sipped from my mug and let the peaceful silence settle around me, heavier and warmer than any blanket I had ever known. A month had passed since the gala. A month since Serenya's mask had crumbled in front of flashing cameras and the internet's cold, merciless memory. Sponsors fled. Apologies never came. And somehow none of it touched me the way I once feared it would. Instead, I rebuilt, board by board, moment by moment. Not just this house, but the life I had once convinced myself I did not deserve. That Saturday, the neighborhood hosted a small community cleanup. I set out a folding table with lemonade and brownies and watched as people gathered, laughing, swapping gardening tips, helping each other haul branches and clear gutters. Kids scrawled bright chalk messages on the sidewalk outside my front steps. "You matter. Stronger than you know. Welcome home." I found myself smiling without hesitation, without looking over my shoulder for the first time in years. Around midday, as I wiped down the folding table outside, my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, but something, a stubborn little nudge inside me, made me check. It was a text from Serenya. "Hey, things have been rough. Any chance we could crash with you for a while? Just until we figure things out." No apology. No acknowledgement of the wreckage she had left behind. Just a casual expectation that after everything, I would once again hand over what little I had built. I stared at the screen, letting the absurdity wash over me in waves. The girl who once laughed at my so-called junkyard shack, who paraded my pain for clicks, now wanted a roof over her head. I placed the phone down carefully next to the lemonade pitcher. I did not respond immediately. I did not fume. I did not pace. I did not draft angry messages I would never send. Instead, I walked back inside my steps, surprisingly light. In the entryway, right above the coat rack, hung a simple wooden frame. Inside it was a faded photograph me at 8 years old, standing stiffly in a paper crown and glittery costume from a long-forgotten school play. And there, blurry but unmistakable in the background, was Ivy Linnell, clapping like her life depended on it. Beneath the glass, in small, neat handwriting, were the words, "You always had the light, AI." I touched the frame gently, feeling the lump rise in my throat, and then let it settle. No tears. Just gratitude. Just peace. Picking my phone back up, I typed the only response that felt right. "There's no space for lies here anymore. I wish you peace." And I sent it without another thought. Outside, the kids laughed and shouted as someone drew a crooked sun with a bright yellow chalk line. I watched them from the porch, breathing in the cool afternoon air. The junk house I had bought for $900 was not my burden anymore. It was my foundation. For too long, I had tried to find a seat at a table that was never meant for me. Tried to earn scraps of love that were weighed and measured, handed out like prizes to whoever bowed the lowest. Not anymore. They wanted a key. But I had already built a door. And behind it, finally, was a life that belonged only to me. Sometimes the hardest walls we break through are the ones built by the people who were supposed to love us most. But when you stop knocking on closed doors and build your own, you do not just find freedom, you find yourself. The days that followed were quiet, but not empty. I learned the rhythm of my small house, the way the boards creaked in the morning, the way the sunlight painted the walls differently with each passing season. I fixed what I could, planted flowers along the front path, even painted the shutters a deep green that reminded me of spring. Neighbors began to stop by, not out of pity but out of genuine connection. One brought a basket of fresh eggs. Another dropped off a bag of old novels she thought I would enjoy. For the first time in a long time, I felt rooted. Lorraine never called. Harlan never wrote. And honestly, I stopped waiting for them to. It was not forgiveness I was after. It was freedom. Freedom from their expectations, their rehearsed affection, their belief that love was something I had to earn. I stopped needing their approval the moment I realized I had already survived without it. One evening I sat on the porch swing, the quilt Ivy Linnell had given me draped across my lap. The stars came out one by one, faint but steady, and I thought about all the years I had wasted trying to prove I was worthy. Worthy of what? Their approval, their scraps of affection. It had never been about me. It was always about them, their image, their story, their need for someone else to carry the shadows so they could stand in the light. I was done carrying that weight. The truth is, family is not always the people who share your bloodline. Sometimes family is the neighbor who waves as they hand you a bag of muffins, the child who draws a chalk heart on your front step, the friend who shows up with tools and laughter when your roof leaks. Family is the people who choose you, not the ones who punish you for existing. That night, I wrote in my journal, "I am not what they said I was. I am not their burden. I am not their scapegoat. I am my own beginning." And for the first time I believed it. If you have ever had to choose peace over family or found the strength to walk away from those who kept you small, I would love to hear your story in the comments. Your voice matters and your truth deserves to be heard. If this story touched you, please like, share and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story of resilience and rebirth. And before you go, drop 3 simple words in the comments. Choose your freedom. That will be our reminder to each other and to ourselves that we are allowed to step out of the shadows and into our own light. Thank you for being here with me, for listening, for sharing this space. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next story. Until then, be free, be strong, and always, always be your own.